St. Joseph Parish, it's Father Tom McNally, one of your co-pastors. We just finished up our first two public celebrations of the Mass here at the parish. It was a joy seeing a number of your fellow parishioners, and I look forward to seeing many more of you very soon. This upcoming weekend, we're going to be celebrating our first public celebrations of the Sunday Mass for the Feast of Pentecost. And before you are all coming back and entering the church, as things are just a little different now, I wanted to help explain the procedures for you so that we can do this as simply, as safely, as reverently, and as respectfully as possible. So first, please understand that Bishop Bradley has extended the general dispensation from the Sunday obligation until the beginning of September, until September 6th. So if you have grave concerns about attending the public celebration of the Mass with us, if you are elderly, if your health is not good, if there are other reasons that would prevent you from being able to come and join us safely, if you are feeling sick yourself, please know that you are dispensed from attending Mass. You do not have to be with us here for the Sunday celebration. For the rest of you though, please feel welcome to come and join us, and we're excited to have you back here. As you come back to the church, before you enter the building, please make sure that you have your own face mask and that you have that on. I have a few of my own in the corporate colors, which I've been wearing out in public and I will be wearing for the distribution of communion. Please have your own. Make sure you're following a lot of the basic etiquette that the government has asked of us, that you're washing your hands thoroughly for the period of a reverently prayed Hail Mary, and that as you enter the building, at both locations, we will have hand sanitizer right as you enter. Please avail yourselves of that opportunity. And also be mindful of the fact that we are called in Christian charity to look out for one another. Don't congregate by the doors as you enter, and throughout the duration of your time here, please be mindful of social distancing, and please be patient with one another. Don't allow a line to form. If somebody's moving a little more slowly than you are, give them time and space. We'll all get in there in an orderly fashion. And please also do your best to try to arrive earlier than we normally would have, and to know that we have a limited capacity in our church buildings. That right now we are being permitted to celebrate Mass publicly, but at 25% of our capacity and with 6 feet of social distancing, which means that depending upon the location and the number of members in each family, we may only be able to fit 80 to 100 people at each celebration of the Mass. As we enter the church, I'll show you what that looks like inside, but please be prepared, if necessary, to attend one of our other Masses. The 11 o'clock at St. Bernard's every weekend will be one of our overflow Masses. And after this first weekend, the intention is to be able to celebrate Mass outdoors here at St. Joe South, and those will also be our overflow Masses. 25% capacity for our parking lot, and our lawn is a lot of people. So we'll at least make sure we have a couple Masses that everyone can attend on the weekend without fear of overcrowding. Now, as we enter the church, I'll show you what things will look like as you return to the celebration of the Mass. So come on in with me. You'll notice we have a few more signs up reminding you of the protocol in case you forget. Until we get into a rhythm, it's a lot to remember. So we'll have these here to remind you of all of the different ways that we've been asked to show our charity toward others. And please know too, as we begin, that it's going to rub some people the wrong way. And I know that. I'm mindful of that fact. There are going to be some parishioners who feel that we're doing too much, that this is a little silly in all of the hoops they feel like we're making them jump through. There are going to be other parishioners who feel like we're not doing enough, that they don't feel that this is safe enough. We have had multiple doctors in the area take a look at our plans and approve them, and they've been vetted by the bishop's office and his own team of experts. So right now we're trying to do what we feel like is safe and reasonable. So please be patient with others. If you feel like this is too much, then I would ask you at least, if nothing else, to please recognize that obedience is a virtue for us as Catholics, and Bishop Bradley has asked us to do this. That's one way that we live out our faith, in obedience to our bishop. We might consider some of the protocol to be inconvenient. They're not unjust. For those who feel like we might not be doing quite enough, again, we've had experts tell us they think this is very helpful and safe, and that we can return to the celebration of the Mass in the way that we're doing it without undue risk to most parishioners. So all of that being said, please be patient with one another and recognize people have different viewpoints and different levels of comfort with what we're doing. But we're going to try to make this safe and respectful for everyone who comes and enters our parish. Now, as we come on in, here at St. Joe South, we have our hand sanitizer by the door. For the weekend celebration of the Mass, we will also have ushers. Please follow their instruction and as much as possible respect them and follow their lead. We've asked them to be able to help you to find seats as people are getting used to the new seating arrangement, and to also keep tally to see how many remaining spots we have available in the church. We have marked out a number of socially distant spots in our pews for seating. Each section that's marked off is available for one individual or one household. That people who live under the same roof do not have to be mindful of the 6 feet of social distancing. They can sit immediately next to each other in the pews. It would be a little silly if they were closer than that at home and we asked them to separate at church. There's no safety that's provided by that. All of that being said then, as you enter, you'll notice what the spots look like. We've marked off every other pew for social distancing, which already limits our capacity to half. And then as you enter the pews, you'll notice for most of them, they will have a spot on each end. This is available for one individual or one family. The other end is available for one individual, couple, or family. And then occasionally here at South, we have longer pews, and you could fit one more individual or couple in the center. If you have a particularly large family, I would encourage you to go ahead and take 2 of those spots, or, depending upon the size of your family, perhaps an entire pew. That would be the easiest way to maintain social distancing for us while we're here praying together. These pews, you'll notice, are marked off with blue painter's tape. It's not the most beautiful accompaniment to our celebration of the Mass, but it's one which marks off our social distance without doing injury to our pews. If you have a better idea and the money to put behind it, I'm open to suggestions. But also notice that as you go up, every other pew is marked off, and that tells you something. For instance, this pew has something in common with Mexican cuisine. This pew is nacho pew, so don't sit in it. This one up here is a lot like Noah's Ark, and you're the unicorns. You didn't make it in this pew. So all of the ones that are marked off are not accessible for seating. Once we have begun the celebration of the Mass then, we've all gotten ourselves seated, we're distant, we're prayerful, Mass will begin more or less as we're accustomed to. We've been asked not to have choirs because of the risk of transmission, but we are still permitted and encouraged to have music at our celebration of the Mass. So we will still, as we're able, have our cantor and our musician here with us. Please feel welcome to sing along. We're not allowed at this time to have hymnals in our pews. You'll notice the hymnal racks are empty. Again, Bishop Bradley is concerned with the risk of transmission from a regularly handled object. It's more difficult also to disinfect our hymnals. So we'll try as much as possible to sing hymns that everybody knows. For the first little while, maybe to have accompanying hymn sheets until we've grown accustomed to this practice and have a more long-term solution. The rest of the celebration of the Mass will go on as normal. We've been asked not to have extraordinary ministers or altar servers where we as the celebrant are able to celebrate Mass without them. We've still been permitted exceptions for outdoor Masses, which become more complicated, for celebrations of funerals, weddings, other Masses which are more difficult to fly solo. But you'll notice that the sanctuary is a little emptier. That's by design. We are still permitted to have readers, so we'll have readers at Mass whenever possible. Once it comes time for communion, you'll come up, and it should be fairly intuitive. Again, we've tried to make this as simple as possible. Because the social distancing is not only behind you and in front of you, but also side to side, there will only be one line for communion, and you'll go up after the pew in front of you. Once communion has concluded, we will then have the closing prayer, the dismissal, and our recessional hymn. At the end of the hymn, things will be just a little bit different. As we exit Mass, we ask that you remain in your pew until an usher dismisses you. So our dismissal will in very many ways look like a dismissal at a wedding, where the usher will dismiss you row by row to separate exits in such a way that it allows people to leave, again, without having any congestion in the vestibule or at the side door. So please be mindful of that fact. Plan accordingly. It will take a couple extra minutes. It won't take a lot longer. And please be patient with one another. With our ushers who are new to this, and with the other parishioners, again, who might not move quite as quickly as you do. And everything we do in our celebration of the Mass, we want to keep it simple, safe, reverent, and respectful. As time goes on, I'll get further information for you about how we'll celebrate the outdoor Mass, which we're intending to have out here at St. Joe South. And know that unless you explicitly hear from us otherwise, all confessions and all celebrations of the Mass will be held at the same location and the same time as they were prior to the pandemic. Again, I want to make this as simple for you and for our out-of-town guests as it possibly can be. When you come out here to confession itself, please look for the priest outdoors under the tree. Unless there's inclement weather, then we'll have him out here up front. Bishop Bradley has asked us not to hold confession in a small enclosed space, again, being mindful of your safety. But we'll make sure that the priest is visible and available to you for that. Downtown, the priest will be up front by Mary, as he has been for the last 2 months of confessions. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to call our parish or to email us. I look forward to seeing many of you this weekend and in the Sundays to follow. And thank you and God bless.